Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're investigating the topic of good and evil from both a Christian and social perspective, and how this shapes what we believe to be good and evil. Where do we get our perception from? Good is defined as anything that is morally right and can be found in our world in the form of religious organisations and charities. Anything that has the intention of helping others or contributing to the greater good. In stark contrast is evil. Evil is defined as something that is inherently wrong, immoral, and wicked, the opposite of good. Evil can be damaging and is most commonly associated with the suffering of others. A person's values, morals, and behaviours are formed by a person's upbringing and the people who raise them. There are more kinds of evil than there are good, including structural evil or systemic evil, both of which arise from structures within human society rather than from individual wickedness or religious conceptions. Examples of structural evil are slavery, fast fashion, and racism. Another form of evil is social evil. Social evil covers anything that is detrimental to society or its citizens, such as alcoholism, organised crime, and prostitution. Moral evil is any morally negative event caused by the intentional action or inaction of an agent, such as a person or an organisation. An example of moral evil might be murder, war, or any other evil event for which someone can be held personally responsible. Personal evil is similar to moral evil, but specifies to only one person. It is personal evil when the individual is aware that their actions are wrong and yet continues acting destructively, evilly. Elements that are commonly associated with personal forms of evil involve unbalanced behaviours, including acts of violence, selfishness, and neglect. Natural evil is slightly different. It's a term used to refer to occurrences that happen naturally and cause devastation that negatively impact others and cause suffering. There is generally no human intent or influence on the occurrence of natural evil. Some examples of it are flooding, cyclones, earthquakes, and other environmental imbalances. Having gained this knowledge on the different kinds of good and evil in the world, we're able to observe how societal behaviour directly reflects what is socially acceptable and what is perceived as morally right. While laws and rules in society dictate people's behaviour, people are still easily influenced by others. Humans will mirror what they see happening around them, whether the actions are good or evil. This leads society to being a large influence on what good and evil actually mean. Social media depictions of good and evil do not always align with Christian definitions of good and evil. There are more representations of evil in the media than there are good, as society is much more likely to pay attention to an article or news segment about a horrific accident than they are to watch or read something about a few people's good actions. It's just not as entertaining. TV channels like 60 Minutes and 9 Now provide news and information on occurrences of note in the world, most of which have caused suffering. The media is often biased and favours creating dramatic narratives that aren't always true. This makes information found through the media unreliable. Headlines and clickbait draw audiences to the media platforms, often blurring the real story. This causes the spread of misinformation. This means the universal societal perception of good and evil is somewhat based on lies and ever-changing opinions of the people running the shows. This does not coincide with Christian beliefs. Christians believe that free will is given by God. Humans therefore have the choice to do good or evil. Christians also believe that evil people are a result of resisting God and being tempted by evil, or being tempted by the devil. This is similar to the original sin committed by Adam and Eve, as it is believed that humans find it easier to choose to do wrong, but with the help of God they can choose to do good. The Christian image of goodness is when people are kind to one another, tender-hearted and forgiving, just as God in Christ forgave humanity for Adam and Eve's original sin. I personally define good as anything that helps others or assists in the greater good. This is without sacrificing the health or happiness of others, of course. Evil is much harder to define. I think that certain actions can be defined as evil, like crimes and hateful behaviours. Despite this, I still don't see the person from which it came as an evil individual, as our moral compass is what guides us in life and directs our every action. By consciously committing an evil act, you are claiming you can live with any consequences of it. I interact with good and evil whether I want to or not, by interacting with other people and being affected by their actions. My parents raised me without the influence of religion. The responsibility of being a good person fell to my moral compass. I learnt my moral compass through empathy and experience for and with other people. From this perspective, my upbringing did greatly influence my initial understanding of good and evil. However, as I grew older, the people I have surrounded myself with have contributed to what I deem to be good and evil. This is from a combination of both societal influence and the easy access to social media I was provided from a young age, from which I received a lot of my education. I have attended a Christian primary school and a Christian secondary school, both of which has shaped my schooling and in turn my perception of good and evil, in a Christian perspective and a social perspective. I was taught to empathise and care for others. This is a good trait. However, despite the positives of going to a Christian school, attending them has also led me to believe that things are blurred by religion. The Christian definitions of good and evil confirm archaic values that were relevant at the time they were made, such as the Ten Commandments. These values no longer reflect society today. The best way to determine what is good and evil is by self-evaluating the social, legal, and ethical repercussions of each of your actions and assessing whether or not you can live with the consequences. Thank you so much for listening. Please let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.